Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. Today we're going to talk about brand news, your favorite weapon. Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. This is the first episode of Season 2. Thank you for joining us. I am one of your hosts. I am Brad, and I'm joined as usual by our guy Jason. Welcome, Jason. How are you today?
My back's hurting from shoveling snow yesterday because I'm getting old, but how are you?
Good, because I live somewhere where I don't have to shovel snow. So
You live, sidebar here, you live somewhere where if you guys get an inch of snow, you're fully prepared because you've lived in places where an inch is nothing.
It's true, I have. Yeah, an inch wouldn't be much, but that being said, I would probably go into full disaster mode if we did get an inch of snow here because I don't know what I would do with it. I don't know
It
where it would
has
go.
happened.
It has, but not since I've been here. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that it won't happen. It did get a little bit chilly the last couple weeks. We were down in the 30s at night, so pulled out the extra blankets and cranked up the heater a little bit. But anyway, all right, today we're going to be talking about brand news, your favorite weapon. We're considering this part one of a 3-part episode here. We're going to go into some of the lyrics that are involved with this album, as well as Taking Back Sundays, Tell All Your Friends, and then we'll get into Deja Tender to kind of wrap things up, because there's a whole lot going on with this very specific rivalry from a very specific incident that happened between Jesse Lacey and Adam Lazzara from Taking Back Sunday. So let's go ahead and get started. Jason, lead off the season with your first track.
Okay. I guess I'll go with the opener. I'm stealing your gimmick. I'm going with the opening song, The Shower Scene. That intro, that starts off like fire. It really sets the tone for musically how this album's going to be, because this is probably their heaviest album in terms of speed that they play at.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely rawer than anything they do afterwards.
Right.
I can listen to this song and I can pinpoint where I was at the time I was listening to this album. Like, I'm in my car, I'm with my friends, we're driving somewhere late at night, grabbing a bite to eat after hanging out for hours on end. Like, that's what this puts me at. I think, lyrically, it's really proto Jesse Lacey at this point.
Mm-hmm.
You see just in that opening song all the hallmarks of what becomes him as a songwriter and singer.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna agree with everything you said. That this entire album is very raw, and this does set the tone for it, and also the drive, the speed, and the pace of the entire thing. And I can put myself exactly where I was the first time I heard this album. I was driving up with my friends. We were going snowboarding, and one of my buddies was like, "Guys, I burned this mix CD. Just wait." So he put it in, and we were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, unreal. And I still know exactly where we were on the road when he put it in, and it became one of our regular snowboarding CDs that we listened to when we were going up, and that's where this music puts me all the time, and it's a very, very happy place. It's one of the things I love about it.
I always like the chorus of this song, at least verbally, lyrically. It's time for you to choose the bullet or the chapstick. Jesus.
I know. I have always loved that line. That's been one of my favorite branding lines ever, and there are a lot of good ones. We'll get into them, but that's always been one of my absolute favorites.
This song in particular has a lot of it's funny how your worst friends always seem to turn out to be all of your best friends' best friends. Like, jeez. I mean, I would be surprised if anyone listening doesn't know what the songs are about and who they're about, but if you don't, Jesus, that's vicious.
It is vicious, and there's a lot of viciousness throughout that we're gonna get to, but yeah, no, this was being introduced to Brand New with this as being like the first song, impacted me really heavily in like as far as the lyrics go, because it was unlike anything I had listened to at that point, because everything was mostly just having fun, and like especially like I listened to a lot of homegrown at the time, which is just like having fun being in high school, right?
Yeah.
But this was the first time that I was like, oh, real life does get hard. Like there are things that are going to be bad that are going to happen. So yeah, one. So the next song I wanted to talk about on this album is Sudden Death in Carolina. I don't know. First off, like the first line of the song is outstanding. Last night I swallowed liquor and a lighter, and this morning I threw up fire. Like, I just think that's a really cool line. Like the imagery is really funny to me. and,
No,
and
it's
that's
hysterical.
I used to walk around just like singing that all the time, just like under my breath. And it was another one of those things, I've talked about it before, where like the people around be like, "What did you just say?" Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But the chorus is really good. What difference does this difference in age make? I know how it ends. She'll kill me quick. So call 911. I'm already dead, but someone should be caught and held responsible for this bloody mess. There's obviously somebody involved here. Especially since it goes into at the end, call homicide, take the case to court. Like, I don't know. The way that the lyrics fit with the music, because it's a very upbeat, like musically, it's very upbeat, right?
It is, yeah.
But lyrically, it is not at all. And it's funny how it fits, but it works really well. It's really catchy, but at the same time, you catch yourself singing these kind of like down and depressing and a little bit morbid lyrics.
And what we know about Jesse Lacey all these years later, that's an interesting chorus.
Yes. Yes, it is a very, yeah. Care to expand on that, Jason?
No. No, not at all.
Very good. But no, this is one of my favorite songs. Like I said, it's one that I walk around all the time singing, especially that opening line. It's just a good catchy song that I like to sing.
This is a song I can remember being in the car with the bassist from my band, playing this and singing along to it in the car. Because like Brand New was the band for some reason we chose to work on our harmonies together with. So
nice.
Lots of Brand New were being listened to in his car, my car.
That's awesome. I like that a lot. Cool. What do you have next for us, Jason?
Let's go with Failure by Design.
Okay.
I really like this song as a whole, not just lyrically, not just musically. I think everything in this song is really great. It was always one of my favorites from the album when I first got it. I think it's still really great today. I just listened to it before we recorded. Fantastic song. I love the pre-chorus. We don't believe in filler, baby. If I could, I'd sit this out. It's funny to me because when you hear their other albums, this is a really fillery kind of album.
Yeah.
But I know that at the time, like at that age they were at, they thought everything was fantastic and it was perfect.
Well, but at the same time, though, relative to a lot of the stuff at the time, like I don't feel like there's as much as what was going on. Right? Like compared to the rest of Brand New, yes, a lot of filler. But as far as like their contemporaries, I don't feel like there was quite so much.
And that's a good point. And I grant you that. That is true because there was some music of this genre that was maybe one or two songs. Like I hate saying it. American Hi-Fi is one of them. They had like 2 songs and then that was it. Because the rest of the album didn't hold up. Right. Now I will say, like, because this album came out when we were teenagers, I think the chorus is spectacular. This is a lesson in procrastination. I'll kill myself because I'm so frustrated. And every single second that I put it off means another lonely night. I got to race the clock. You don't have to be making an album to relate to that. You could be putting off an exam, a test. You could be putting off whatever.
This was my theme song in high school because was the king of procrastination. In fact, when I was a senior in high school, I took a nat and phys, and we had a big project. We went to the zoo, and we were supposed to like research animals and blah, blah, all this stuff and compare them to humans. And she specifically told us, I want you to know this project is going to take you more time than there are hours in a day. So don't put it off. And I looked at my buddy and I said, challenge accepted. I'm going to put it off and I'm going to get it done in a single day. And guess what? She was right. I spent 20 hours in one day working on it and didn't even get halfway through. So she was very upset with me. It was my final project for the class. She was very upset with me. She let me know. But then she did say, but you did so well in the rest of the class, I can't give you anything lower than a B+. I said, I'll take it. So
that sounds good.
But yeah, no, so the mix CD that I had, this was the first track. And to me, this is equally as good of an opener as the shower scene, just because of the way that it builds and then builds into the rest of the album. And so this became for me one of the first songs that I was introduced to Brand New with and was most familiar with because of the format of that CD. And the intro with like the really mellow and the really mellow guitar that builds into the verse, with the watch you on the one and twos.
Ones and twos, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that intro is really strong and a really, really good hook that anytime I played that mix CD for somebody, they were immediately into it because of the way that it started out. So I was really happy when you chose this one because there are so many other songs on this album that I wanted to talk about that I was like, gosh, we have to get there. But man, this was a hard album to pick just 3 each for.
This is, and like, I don't know, this album puts me, oddly enough, in a really positive time frame in a very crazy set of years for me. Mm-hmm. So whereas it's not a super positive album, it makes me think of a really good time in my life.
Yeah. And that's exactly it for me, is that I associate this album with going up snowboarding, which was some of the best days of my life growing up. And yeah, anyway, let's take a quick break. When we get back, I have 2 more songs. Jason has one, but we've decided to do something a little bit different this season, and we'll talk about that when we get back.
9+ Us presents the Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Kansas City Little Big Briggy Blue Eyes. Weekly episodes for the entire baseball family where we talk all baseball all the time. Available on all your favorite podcast apps and on YouTube. Come join our baseball family where we do baseball together.
The Another Sports Podcast is the home of sports talk for everyone. Every other week you can catch David and Jason as they talk about all things sports, from current events to classic moments and everything in between. You can find the Another Sports Podcast on Anchor.fm, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.
Welcome back to the Punk Popcast. Today we're talking about Brand New's Your Favorite Weapon. We have a few tracks to get left to get to, but before we do that, Jason and I decided to do something a little bit different this season than what we were doing our first season. We're going to do something that's called the Consensus Album Track, which is if you're new to the show and how we do things, Jason and I basically hold a draft. We just go through, we take turns picking 3 songs from every album that we want to talk about. And there's always one that we're hoping the other person will pick because we want to talk about it, but there are others we want to get to. So for this one, our consensus track is Mixtape, because first off, it's just so good. Like, really. And second, it's one of those outstanding breakup songs that cannot be ignored. One of the all-time greats.
Probably the best one of maybe the best one of the genre. I won't say probably, also maybe.
And I would agree with you. But like, I just love how he goes through and he outlines all of her flaws. Like, first off, no one's ever seen you without makeup. You're always made up. I'm sick of your tattoos, the way you always criticize the Smiths and Morrissey. I know you're a sucker for anything acoustic, and here's something acoustic because I know you're going to love it, and that's a little poke at you. That's one of my favorite things about this song is that line in an acoustic song. Like, that's so well done.
For the record, The Cure's better than the Smiths, but that's not right. I had to throw that in there.
And I would agree with you. But anyway,
it's such a good, like, be gone kind of song, you know?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it is masterful how they use it's this very Smith sounding song. And they use that style so magnificently over the course of their career. But this song sets the tone for that. That is like, this is the beginning, and this is where everything's going to lead to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing that's funny is that this song sounds so different than everything else on this album, but it is kind of the direction that things go after this.
Yeah,
is very much with this tone, and I guess the tone of the music and the tone of the lyrics too. So it's really cool. It's a really great song. It is, I don't know, it is such a great breakup song because it is like sticking it to somebody. You're just like, yeah.
it is.
But,
it is.
all right. So I'm gonna go ahead with my next song, if that's cool with you, before we get too far into this. So I'm going to save my favorite song on this album for last, but I am going to get into next. I'm going to go into Soco Amaretto Lime. And this is another mild song, another acoustic song on this album. But mostly for me is that this song kind of has a special place with me because my best friend who actually introduced me to Brand New, we've been best friends now for 23 years. He learned how to play guitar a couple years after me, and one of the things we used to do is we would sit around and just pluck out and play together. And this was one of the ones that we both knew that we could sit and we could play. This Soca Amaretto Lime and the Quiet Things That No One Ever Knows, like those would always, like if we were at a party playing our guitars or like a get together, these would always draw people in and kind of gather a crowd. And then they would all disperse when we started playing Me versus Maradona versus Elvis, because the lyrics are a little more off-putting. But really this song is like, and it's a pretty cool song too, because it's about being best friends and wanting to be, I mean, the chorus is, I'm going to stay 18 forever so we can stay like this forever. And I like that because when you're that age, that's kind of the mindset you have. Is that I want to be here because I don't know. I mean, I know it's not that way for everybody, but 17, 18 for me were pretty good times. And those, if I could have frozen time, especially at the time, it probably would have been ideal.
Yeah, it's a great song. It definitely, like, it makes me think of hanging out with my co-host on my other podcast, David, because I can't tell you how many weekends we spent together, just from 10 a.m. Saturday morning, him picking me up, to 2 p.m. Sunday. We just hung out all weekend. And that's that beauty of that time, in your life. You have nowhere to go. You have no priorities other than just
very little responsibility. Yeah. And it's awesome. And I feel like this song does a good job of encapsulating that and capturing that all together.
It does. And it's a great closer. And I think that doesn't get enough credit for how great of a closer it is. Because they did just a phenomenal job in picking a song, choosing a song that really represents them as a band and kind of tells you where they're going to next. And I kind of look at this song as that.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. I love it. All right, Jason, go ahead with your next one. I guess your last one. You have one song left.
I do. And I want to apologize to anyone watching this on YouTube. I'm having just awful camera issues today. I don't know what's going on. Does not give me hope for the future. But anyway, so I will go with the quote unquote hit from this album. And that is Jude Law and A Semester Abroad. I think this is if anyone was going to pick a song off this brand new album and it wasn't mixtape, it would be this song and your next pick. It would be one of those, I would think. Because there's three known songs from this album, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a different kind of breakup song than mixtape.
Very direct.
Very direct. It's far more pop punk than Future Brand New.
Mm-hmm.
God, that line, I hope the next boy that you kiss has something terribly contagious on his lips. How many, like, even Fall Out Boy has had similar lines. Like, everyone since this song has had at least one song with a line like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a kiss line about something.
Yep.
But I mean, we got to talk about how great that chorus is.
I was gonna go there next. So for those of you who don't know, tell all the English boys you meet about the American boy back in the States, the American boy you used to date, who would do anything you say. Now this is such a great line to yell, sing. I don't want to say scream, but like yell, sing, like in the car with your friends.
Yeah,
you know. But oh my gosh, and that's like my experience with this song is that I was always tell all the English boys about, you know. But
and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about how freaking brutal the second verse is. And even if her plane crashes tonight, she'll find some way to disappoint me by not burning in the wreckage or drowning at the bottom of the sea. What did this girl do to you, Jesse Lacey?
I know.
Does John Nolan know how you feel about this girl?
That's yeah, I know. And it's one of those things where, like, legitimately, I remember hearing that the first time, and it was, I mean, again, I say it all the time, but the reaction is, oh man. And especially with the way he sings or drowning at the bottom of the sea with like such, I don't know if it's angst or anger or hatred, but whatever it is,
fervent gusto,
you feel it.
Term I use.
Fervent gusto is certainly what it is, and it's perfect. It's very well done. I love it very much. Okay, yeah, no, outstanding song. I was very happy when you chose this one because it's a good one. It's lyrically, it's so good. But I don't know that anything I've ever heard in my life is as good lyrically as the next song. This has always been my favorite song on this album. 70 times 7. So my friend who introduced me to this album first told me this is the first song he told me about, is that he used to walk around singing it. He's like, oh, but he's like, you gotta hear it. It's so good. But I do have a story for this song. So when I was 19, I had a friend who just had an amazing voice. He was like 6'6". He was Samoan and just had this like beautiful, soulful voice. And he took me with him to, it was a music store, but we went after hours because the guy who owned it had like a little studio in his office and he wanted to record a song for him. So he's like, all right, cool. So I went with him. And so they're getting everything set up, and he's in like on the studio side with him, and I was in with the microphones. He goes, hey, check that microphone, make sure it works. I was like, okay. And the first thing that came to my mind was, so is that what you call a getaway? Tell me what you got away with, because I've seen more spine and jellyfish. I've seen more guts than 11-year-old kids. Have another drink and drive yourself home. I hope there's ice on all the roads, and you can think of me when you forget your seatbelt, and again when your head goes through the windshield. And I went through the entire bridge into, is that what you call tact? You're as subtle as a brick and the small of my back, so let's end this call and end this conversation. And I went into it, Jason. I did it from the very beginning all the way to the very end, and I was like feeling myself at the end and like really into it, eyes closed, everything. And so I finished, and again, when your head goes through the windshield, and I opened my eyes and looked, and they were both standing on the other side of the glass, just like eyes as big as saucer. Like, what just happened? And the producer guy, he's like, you okay? Like, yeah, did it work? Yep. It was like, it was so funny. They were both so caught off guard by it, and I think of that every time I hear this song. I just kind of chuckle to myself. It's just like these two guys are. Whoa, where did that come from? but anyway, so this is the thing that I think this is the track that, like, the crossover track with Taking Back Sunday. That's why this is going to be a 3-part episode, right? So this is the track where some of the lyrics were taken and put into a song. And tell your friends, if you don't know about it, we'll get into it next week. So there's a little tease. You can tune in. But Jason, I think you're a little more familiar with the rivalry, with the things that went on leading to this song and a lot of the songs on this album. That, like, I guess more of the specifics.
The background of this song specifically, and quite a few songs on the album, the shower scene being one. That might be the other really big one on the album. I've heard people say mixtape is one as well, but I'm not.
I've heard that
sure
too, but
that.
It doesn't feel right.
But so John Nolan from Taking Back Sunday, later of Straight Light Run, and then Taking Back Sunday again, and Jesse Lacey grew up together. They were childhood friends, and they both liked the same girl. Jesse was kind of to use the elder millennial term, player. And I think John was more of a guy like us, kind of awkward, kind of like not always doing well with the ladies. And the girl chose John, and Jesse caught them making out, and that led to this song and many other songs on both this album and Tell All Your Friends by Taking Back Sunday. Now, you did mention Adam from Taking Back Sunday earlier. Adam does play a role in it, but that's more of a separate issue.
And see, I thought that he was involved somewhere, but I couldn't exactly pinpoint the details. But no, that it is mostly Nolan who's involved, right?
Because it was mostly Nolan. Then they made up, and then Jesse and John had John and Adam had a falling out, which led to John leaving, Taking Back
After
Sunday.
Tell All Your Friends, yeah.
And Jesse's response song in Deja Entendu is basically making fun of Adam because of everything that happened with Adam and John.
I see, and we'll get to that in 2 weeks. There's
lots of spoilers, people.
So you got they're not spoilers; they're teasers. That will get people to tune back in. So
you don't want me around with Marvel movies, okay?
But anyway,
if you read the comics, you know what's going to happen. I'm just saying.
It's true. You're right. But anyway, back to the song. So I do feel like, though, this is, like, for me, this is the best song on the album. Everything about it is so good. It's so catchy. The lyrics are outstanding. That bridge is my absolute favorite bridge of any song ever written, because the build is outstanding. The lyrics are, dare I say, perfect for an insult, or I don't know if it's a hate track, diss track, whatever, but the lyrics are perfect for it, and it's catchy, and it's fun to sing, just flat out fun to sing. Like I said, it was the first thing that popped into my mind when they said, give us a little check on the mic. I just went right into it. So
without getting too much into detail, I can understand why this song and the response on Tell All Your Friends exists. And I don't think I'm the only person listening who, has had a similar experience. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I raised my hand for those of you listening.
I can tell you, though, in my personal experience, I did not identify with this version of the story. And for the record, I'll have to find it for the next episode. There is a picture referenced in the Taking Back Sunday song that is on the internet of Jesse Lacey. So I will find it and I will share it with you before the next episode.
I see. And I wonder if maybe that's part of the reason I relate so well to this song, because I can, like, I don't know. The chorus, everyone's caught on to everything you do. Like, I'm not going to get into too many details because it gets a little messy. But there was a guy who operated the way he operated. Like, a lot of us knew, but the girls didn't. Like, all the guys knew. And we were just like, dude, like, just freaking stay away. You know, just like go somewhere else. And so I feel like that was, and then eventually it did end up catching up to me and my relationship. And this is how I felt. So I think that might be the reason why I like it so much. It's very relatable.
For me, I identify with the other one because the guy who kind of screwed me over, he always seemed like he was playing everything up for sympathy to have everyone feel bad for him. So even though he's the one who did these actions, he always kind of played it up in a certain way to make people, you know, oh, well, we feel bad for him. So that's in my opinion.
Feel bad for this guy.
Right. See, so that's why this one I don't quite identify with. I identify with the other one.
I see. And we'll get
Both
there. We'll get there next week. They are
record.
Outstanding songs. But let us know what you think about Brand New is your favorite weapon. Is this, I mean, I guess before we get too far into it, Jason, I would rate this a 100 on my essential pop punk scale.
I would go lower.
That's fine. That's fine. So where would you put it?
I would probably put it at like an even 85.
Is that simply because of the follow-up? Or just because, or is there anything about it in particular?
I think a lot of it is grading it on a curve with the follow-up, because I think while this sets the table, I don't think it's as strong as the follow-up.
And see, for me, like, and we'll get there. We'll get to the follow-up, some of my thoughts on it. But to me, like, this feels very pop punk, especially 2001. And so that's one of the reasons I feel like it set the table for a lot of pop punk going forward. Not so much like we've talked about Blink-182, but also on the other hand, like, it set a lot of my future tastes. And Brand New was very, very, I guess, foundational to me with pop punk from, I think it was 2002 when I was first introduced to this album. But like it laid a strong foundation for my future tastes in pop punk. So.
Right. And I can understand that.
That would be why.
And I would agree to that to some extent with that, because this was a really influential album. And I think that's why I have it as an 85. I just think there were some songs that overall weren't as strong. Like, there are songs on this album that are really strong. And then there are some songs on this album that I think just kind of fall a little bit below.
And see, for me, this is one that I can listen to start to finish all the time. And I love it. Absolutely love it. In fact,
that's why this works.
Yes, it is. It is why it works, because the last 2 weeks while I've gone through like prepping for this and the next upcoming episodes, this was the one that I looked forward to listening to this the most out of the three. But anyway, all right. But anyway, like I was saying before, let us know what you think about Brand New is your favorite weapon. Does it fit on? Is it closer to 100 like I said, or is it closer to an 85 like Jason said? Let us know. You can reach out to us on Twitter at Punk Popcast, right, Jason?
Right.
Or individually, you can get me at Jojo Cornrow and Jason at
XJasonDagX.
That's right. And thanks for joining us for this first episode of season 2, and we will get with you again next week.